Please stand for the salute and pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I apologize, those cookies are really good. Roll call, Mr. Cross.
Mrs. Kozer. Dr. Laughlin. Here. Mrs. Maines. Here. Mr. McCollins.
Here.
Mr. Merle D. Music.
Here.
Mr. Merle L. Music.
Here.
Mr. Rucko.
Here.
Dr. Zorch. Essen. And Mr. Hauser.
Thank you, Mr. At this time, I'd like to turn the meeting over to our solicitor, Mr. Nichols.
I'd like to announce that we had an executive session this evening before the meeting. The items discussed by the board involved a confidential student matter. Under personnel, we discussed 2 appointments of personnel who in fact are going to be voted on at tonight's meeting. We also discussed 2 retirements that are also going to be voted on tonight's meeting. And that is the substance of the executive session.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. All right, this time I'd like to open the floor up to hearing of visitors part 1. This is where anyone in the audience can come step forward, state your name and address, and speak of anything that is on the agenda for this evening. I would like to make note that it is limited to 3 minutes. Seeing no one, I move for adoption of resolution number 196, approval of the minutes.
Second.
Motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? That motion passes. Solicitor's report, Mr. Nichols.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. Education and planning, Mrs. Maines.
Thank you. We'll begin with the students, Hero and Michael. Good evening, guys.
Hello everybody. So for news in our schools for the senior high school, May 3rd, 12th, and 17th are AP testing designated days. And then 16th and 17th will be the Keystone algebra testing. The 18th and 19th will be the literature testing, and then the 23rd and 24th will be biology testing. And then on the 15th of April, the band returned from the trip to Tennessee late on Saturday. They performed previously the day before at a festival at Pigeon Forge. And then on the 25th of April, we have the spring band concert at 7 o'clock. And then May 9th is the choral concert. And then for athletics, the track and field senior night is at 5 p.m. on the 25th. May 3rd, the softball senior night takes place at 5:15 on Graham Sabota. May 5th is the baseball senior night at 4:45 on Graham Sabota. And then the girls lacrosse senior night is at 6:15, also on May 5th. And then on the 2nd is the spring job fair on May 2nd for students during lunch and learn. And then for the junior high school, April 19th is the Top Cats luncheon. 8 students are nominated by 8 teachers, and then they're invited to have lunch with them, just as a recognition of their accomplishments in our district. And then the 25th and the 26th is PSSA testing for ELA for grades 7 and 8. And then the 2nd of May is math, and then 3rd is science. And then for the elementary schools, PSSA testing is April 24th through May 5th. And then preschool visits will take place on April 20th. And then for Latrobe Elementary School, the band and chorus concerts are on May 11th. And there's also an art show on the 2nd. And then the Olympic Day is taking place on May 5th for all 6th graders. And that concludes my report. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we have presentation. 2023-24 new courses, and a presentation on new skills.
Good evening. While the projector turns on, Becky and I are excited to have, we have numerous teachers here, along with Mr. Shivitz, who will be doing presentations tonight on new courses, new elective offerings in the junior high, and our new math curriculum that's going to be presented K to 8. As that turns on, this is a slide that we presented to our initial in-service day to our faculty. It's a survey of students and parents back in 2017, and if you look at the blue, I'm going to have to move up because my eyes are getting worse now. The blue stands for, in the last 7 days, I've learned something interesting at school. Green is I had fun at school, and red, at this school, I get to do what I do best every day. And when you look at those lines, the blue, green, and red, you can see in elementary, in 5th grade, you're at 60, 47, and 34, but by the time we work their way up through, it's a continuous decline. So we're always looking at ways, how do we keep our kids engaged in school? How do we get our kids to have fun at school? I think of this generation of kids are on demand. When we were growing up, we had to wait for television shows to come on. We had to wait for a phone call from our friends. This generation doesn't. They have everything at their fingertips. If they want to learn a new math lesson, if they're learning addition in school, they can pick up right on YouTube when they get home and continue that lesson. They don't have to wait until the next day. It's a totally different generation of kid that we're now teaching. And when we look at the workforce, I have 3 daughters going into kindergarten next year, 1 in 1st, 1 in 4th. When I look at the jobs that we're preparing those kids for, with artificial intelligence, with ChatGPT, those jobs are going to look completely different by the time they're 22 years old. The one thing we know that's not going to change, they're always going to have to collaborate. They're going to have to communicate well, share thoughts eloquently, bring new ideas to the table, connect dots, persevere through tough times, adaptability to keep moving forward, and create and just not consume. So when we look at that with artificial intelligence, our push is more away from content, but more towards skills that we know our kids are going to be successful with. And that's what Mrs. Pellis is going to talk about next.
So if you look here, these are our future-focused skills, and many of you know we've been a part of a group of schools for Learning 2025. And as we go through Learning 2025 sessions with the top people in education throughout the nation, they continue to go back to these future-focused skills. And they say we need to be looking at skills, not at content. Kids have access to content everywhere and anywhere. They can ask Alexa. Alexa can give them the content. But if these kiddos don't have the skills, they will not be productive citizens in our communities. And so as we are learning, we are recognizing we need to be focusing in on these skills. And so if you look up here, I know it's small, but they break it into the 4 categories: cognitive skills, interpersonal skills, digital skills, and self-leadership skills. And all of these skills, they're saying we need to embed those in all of our courses. Right now, we very much stick to content. You're in math class, you're in reading class, you're in social studies class. But in all of those classes, these skills have to be embedded. That's where these things need to be happening, and we have to make sure that we're teaching and expecting these skills from our kiddos if we want them to be successful as they enter our workforce. So as you're going to be hearing some of our new courses, as well as the curriculum and textbooks that we are going to be adopting, you will see there's a shift from this content to skills, and it is productive struggle. We are going to be expecting productive struggle from our kiddos. It shouldn't be easy. We want them to sit, we want them to work, we want them to collaborate, we want them to try again. We actually want them to fail a little bit and try again, because we recognize as we're talking to the workforce, that's what they want from our kiddos. They want workers that know how to persevere and get on to the next step. So I think we are starting, if you want to go to the next spot, I think we're starting with Acacia. So Acacia's here to talk about one of our new courses.
I just want to point out, Mrs. Pellis did have to get a little closer to the screen than I did, so I'm quite used to that.
I'm older. Thank you so much. My name is Acacia Houck, and I teach the broadcast and video production classes here at the high school. And I'm proposing a new course called Sports Broadcasting and Video Production 1. And so this is a year-long course available to students in grades 10 through 12 with no prerequisite. And students within this course will learn how to use a variety of types of video production equipment. They'll learn different types of camera shots and composition elements, different aesthetic techniques, 2 different editing programs, and gain experience working in a production studio here at the high school. They'll also have the opportunity to explore their storytelling skills and their communication skills and interviewing skills within the course. Students will create content like coach and player interviews, sports news packages, hype videos, highlight videos, podcasts, daily sports updates for our morning announcements, as well as a weekly or bi-weekly sports show, depending on the time of year. And then work with the Wildcats Network to create content for their programming, as well as assist with filming some of the events. And so each year I have numerous students who have a passion for sports, and we try to sort of work around that with the existing course structure. But by adding this new course, it gives students the opportunity to sort of explore the idea of sports broadcasting, but also to develop those communication skills that can be applicable to any career field. And so, what better way to show you what the course would be like, to show you just a short promo video that 2 students in my class created that highlight what the course would be about.
Are you interested in sports? Do you want to learn how to edit, make cool hype videos, and see sports in a completely different sports broadcasting and video production class next year?
Sports broadcast and video production will take you through the journey of learning about the behind-the-scenes aspects of sports. You will learn how to film events, interview coaches and athletes, edit intense hype videos, record podcasts, and create a sports show, all in a fun sports atmosphere. You may even have your work published on Wildcat Sports Network for all to see. With no experience necessary, you can join the sports-oriented class and learn all you need to know in order to produce sports-related content.
Schedule sports broadcast and video production for next school year and capture the legacy of our Wildcat athletes. Are you interested in sports?
And next we have Matt Schitz coming up to talk about the junior high elective courses.
Thank you. So again, I just have 3 slides, and we actually have a bunch of courses. We have 17 new elective courses that we're going to offer, and that sounds pretty ambitious, like a lot, and I'll explain what our current thing is. But I go back to what Mr. Main said. It bothers me every time he puts that bar graph or line graph on there that shows the decline. And we're very sensitive to when students transition from 6th to 7th grade. And we've heard it all the time, that transition from 6th to 7th grade and that drop off, that possible decrease in learning, you saw it on that graph, and that's our charge as middle school principal, as junior high principal. What can we do to maintain that interest in education, that intrinsic learning? And so those are the things that we're going to look at tonight. So right now, my current setup at the junior high, students obviously take all of their core classes. They take math, science, English, social studies, a world language, a music, and then they do have an elective period. So right now in 7th grade, students take 3 electives in 7th grade. They're trimesters. So it's one period. Each trimester, they rotate an elective. In 8th grade, they take a trimester of electives. And so obviously as they leave the 7th and 8th grade building, they leave with 6 electives. The proposal that we have tonight, obviously Mr. Mains and Mrs. Pellis talked about, project-based courses, cross-curricular critical thinking skills, and creativity. And our proposal tonight is we want to add another elective period. And so what we're basically proposing is, I just told you that they take 3 in 7th grade and 3 in 8th grade for a total of 6. I want another elective period so they take 6 in 7th grade and 6 in 8th grade. And to me, whenever I looked at that, that was an ambitious look of it, but they're leaving the junior high school with 12 different electives. And to me, we couldn't take our eyes off of that to give them 12 different offerings. So to just give you a look on the next slide of what we're going to do. If you look in the gray, The gray is what we currently offer at the junior high. Very proud of these electives. I was on a mission the last year asking other middle schools what do they offer as far as electives. The gray, again, is what we offer. We offer things like medical detectives, health, intro to manufacturing, you see up top coding, speech pathways, obviously our music, band, and chorus. Very proud of those. I've looked at other middle schools, and a lot of other middle schools are just very cookie cutter. And what I mean by that, in art, music, it's on a rotation, and we were almost already ahead as far as our offerings. However, we challenged our elected teachers, and you're probably thinking, we added all of these yellows up here. You're thinking, did I add 17 new teachers? I did not. These are our current teachers, basically saying, I want to, in my field of study, you see the pathways along the top, what else can I offer? And so our art teacher branched out and said, I'd like to do something else, along with art. So we're not getting rid of art. Art is still there. Our manufacturing teacher, our engineering teacher, you see that they came up with these new electives. Flight and space will be a science elective along with medical detectives. That teacher is just electing to do 2 preps. And basically it's a trimester class. So they might offer medical detectives trimester 1 and 3, and might offer flight and space trimester 2 and trimester 3. It gives our kids that much more choice. If they really have an interest in a medical or a career in science, they can do that. We came up with an engineering class called a pumpkin drop. This is if you look this up on YouTube, this is huge at West Virginia University, and colleges compete. You go to West Virginia University, they drop a pumpkin from it's like a fire ladder, and they have to design a device that what can you design around the pumpkin to make sure that pumpkin doesn't break when you drop it. And it's an engineering thing to talk about compression, to talk about velocity, to talk about all kinds of different things. And we talked about that project base, and it just flew right in there. We can keep going. We have a law and order class coming, looking to have a lot of guest speakers. That teacher who was looking to do that, a Shark Tank class, marketing your favorite franchise. You go down, we're now going to have a junior high newspaper. So before, when our kids signed up for electives, you saw the gray. They really didn't get choice. We basically put them in 3 their 7th grade year and 3 their 8th grade year. They're going to get 12 electives now. Through their 2 years, they're going to have choice. We have a survey going out. We do have some parameters, some rules. We want them to hit all of the 5 pathways. We want them to hit certain things. But otherwise, they have an opportunity to gain 12 different electives. And so obviously I could go through and explain each one to you. But we also kept them very, I guess we could move them too. That next year I could come back and say, hey, they want to try something else. Or what we're challenging our teachers to do is to team up. Somebody who's doing the pumpkin challenge, maybe those kids go to the manufacturing room for a week or 2, and the manufacturing kids come to the engineering room for a week or 2. We want it to be very fluid. We want it to be very collaborative with our teachers. So we're really, really excited about this. You saw that I had industrial arts idea, health idea, because we have retirements in those 2 areas we haven't hired yet. And so we were very cognizant that I could make a health class. My current health teacher, who's retiring, said, my health idea, I have a background in sports training and physical therapy. So he would have made a class like that, depending on who we hire and their lane, what they feel comfortable in. That's a challenge to our elective teachers when we hire them. And the same thing with industrial arts. We're really excited to obviously get to the interview process and think about that. But so we will have a total, I believe, of 25 plus electives that the kids will be able to choose from. They're just offered in different trimesters throughout the year. So that's basically it. It's a lot. It's 17 new ones. No new teachers there. Just our teachers doing a lot of work to offer a different prep. So that's it. Any questions?
Do you have any questions on the new high school course with Mrs. Howell or any of the electives in junior high with Mr. Shivens? I just want to thank both of them. It's a lot of work, a lot of time by all the teachers to come up with these, to create these different ideas. So thank you, Matt and Lindsay, very much for doing so.
All right. So next we're going to move on to new textbooks, and we're going to be starting with Jamie White and Leisha Previtt. They are going to be discussing K-8 mathematics, which is illustrative mathematics through imagined learning.
All right, so I'm Jamie White. I teach second grade at Bagley, and I'm also the K through second grade math teacher leader.
I am Lisa Previtt. I teach 6th grade math at LES, and I am also the teacher leader in the building, 3 to 6. When we started this journey to decide how to build our mathematicians, we talked about what we want our kids to be able to do. You've heard a lot of the buzzwords. They need to be able to think. They need to be able to collaborate. One of the things that we realize that our kids need to do is to be able to be mathematicians and not robots. Because the technology in front of them, that's the robot. The mathematician is the heart. That's what brings the love to the math. And that's what we need. So we have a proposal for a resource that is going to build that love of math and build mathematicians that come out of Latrobe. That's our goal.
And that's what we really discussed at our meetings as teacher leaders, going over these different series programs. And we thought about the things that they definitely needed, and we have them here hopefully, was we want our mathematicians to be able to problem solve. We want them to be able to collaborate, work as mathematicians and not robots like Alicia said, to have grit. We have a tendency to just give up and quit whenever things get hard, and we feel like with this program that we are able to have that grit that we need to think, to mathematize, to communicate mathematically, to be resourceful, and also persist with the task.
So with illustrative mathematics, we have found a resource that has all of the pieces that enable us to build this mathematician. It's a problem-based program with the kids in front on the stage figuring it out. It's not us as the teacher teaching them how to do it. The kids are grappling with the tasks. The kids are figuring out what to do. We as the educators are supporting them and moving them to the realization of what's the most efficient way to do this job as a mathematician. So there's a lot of trial and error. There's a lot of making connections between the way kids think. There's a lot of opportunity for them just to talk it out and make sense of it for themselves. And that's what we're missing right now. It's that opportunity for them to grapple and struggle and scratch their head and finally put the pieces together for themselves. Because when they do that, that's when the math sticks. And that's when it makes sense to them. And that's when they realize, hey, I actually do know some math. Because kids don't realize how much math they know. They just think that they're not good at it. And that's sad when kids think that they're not math people, that they can't do math. Everything that they will do is math. So they need to be good at it. So we put a lot of thought and did a lot of research, a lot of digging. And we have the research through this nonprofit to support what we know to be a solid resource. The program was evaluated on those 3 gateways that you can see on the left. And this program is solid with what we want our kids to be able to do. This is just a quick snapshot of the K-5 piece, but you can access the report for the whole program, and you're going to see the same thing. It's green across the board, and that's one of the things that Illustrative is proud of, as then they should be. It's a good, solid resource.
So making the switch to thinking classrooms, it's a difficult switch, it really is. But what we've noticed in this program is that it's extremely doable. And I have been lucky for the last 2 months, I would say, I've been using it in my classroom. And the difference that I've seen in my second graders is amazing. if you walk into my classroom before, I think you could definitely tell my kids who were mathematicians. And they were thinking, but they weren't thinking as much as they are now. I had a little example of a girl in my room who really struggled when I switched to this, that we're going to talk, we're going to do things. I'm not going to tell you how to do them. We're going to think. And she kept calling me over, Mrs. White, just tell me how I'm going to do it. And I said, I want you to think about it. We were working with fractions, so I gave them sheets of paper. Okay, I want you to make this into 3 equal parts. And that really bothered some of them. They didn't know exactly how to do it, where I had some of my kids who are struggling learners, they were folding the paper right away. They weren't afraid to make mistakes, and that has grown just in these last 2 months. The talk that they're doing, the supportiveness that they're giving to each other, it is just really great to see. And I think that you walk in and they all feel very accomplished just in the short time that I've been doing it. Not only I've done geometry and fractions with it so far, but I'm excited to start time tomorrow with them, just to see the differences. So, and I know that Alicia's been doing it in her classroom also for a good bit.
So Peter Liljedahl is he's a famous guy in the math world. I know that. I do. Kids need to think and to move and to make the connections for themselves in order for math to really make sense. It's not about those little ones who want to please the teacher moving the steps. It's the thinking that the kids have to do. The beautiful thing about illustrative math is it supports us as the teachers in making that transition while we support the kids in becoming those mathematicians.
And going along with that, just being an adult, I've always been a math kid. I've loved math ever since I was little, and it came to me very easily. Yesterday we were in a math science meeting, and I will admit the speaker who came in did a problem that involved dividing fractions. Yes, dividing fractions. I knew how to do it right away. But he actually related it to real world, and I honestly think it might have been the first time that I did dividing fractions that gave me a reason that I was dividing fractions. And I thought, wow, I really missed out on that in my 5th grade and 6th grade years. And then I thought, when I taught 5th grade, and probably I missed out on teaching those kids that. So I'm excited that as an adult I'm seeing that, and we had people in the room who weren't math people, and I felt like they felt really good about themselves yesterday as adults. And it's sad, we talked about it tonight before we came to the meeting, we were talking about that it's sad that we have adults that are saying, I'm not good at math, I'm not a math person. You are a math person, you just weren't necessarily taught the right, not the correct way, but taught the way that it would reach you. And I feel like with this, we are reaching all the learners as I've seen in this short amount of time.
That is the only subject where people will say that they're not that kind of person. Never hear anybody say, I'm not a reading person, I'm not a science person, I'm not math is the one that has the truly deep-rooted anxiety in a lot of people. So it's important that we use a resource that meets the kids where they are and confirms for them that they know the math, because they truly do know way more math than we will ever be able to give them credit for now. This resource allows that to come out.
And it allows us as teachers, we did put there are guided discussion points throughout the slides that they give us that really help us teachers change our mindset and be able to do this with our children. So, Alicia and I could talk about this for hours and hours, and I know,
I think it was like 5 minutes. 5 minutes, okay, we're done.
Good. Any questions about elective math?
I do. Is this going to be done in conjunction with Common Core, or is this a totally different approach to math?
This is all aligned with Common Core math. With PA Core, I should say.
Well, hopefully it's an improvement on it, because I know one of my kids did real well with it, so it sounds really neat.
Thank you.
And I also want to say, thank you to the two of you, but we also have other math teacher leaders here. They were a part of the process. Julie and Jamie are also here. Is there anybody else that was teacher here? They're part of that. Rachel's going to be up next. But a lot of time and energy was put into this, so thank you, all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Next we have Rachel Faust, who's coming up to talk about high school math.
Definitely not going to be as funny as the same word. It's boring, but high school, we assessed our needs and reviewed many possible resources for the math curriculum and kind of came up with 3 that we thought would help improve and enhance our math curriculum we currently teach. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about these 3 resources that we found. The one in the center there is the calculus book. I don't think we've had a new calculus book since 2005 maybe. So we were in desperate need of a new one, and this one is specifically designed to support the needs of AP students and teachers, as well as align with the current College Board AP Calculus course. It's by Sullivan and Miranda, and it offers a student-friendly and focused narrative with distinctive features that provide integrated support. This edition has been carefully developed to ensure that it adheres to the unit structure and coverage as set forth in the 2019 course and exam description. Further, it aligns with the College Board's overarching structure and encompasses every big idea, mathematical practice, and student skill. It's written to be read and understood by students as they learn calculus and prepare for either the AP Calc AE or BC exam. And it offers abundant practice, AP-specific content, distinctive features, and built-in support. The second need that we saw was in our personal finance course, and we found the Personal Budgeting Game by the Personal Finance Lab as a resource that we could possibly use. The Personal Budgeting Game is an engaging learning experience that teaches financial literacy skills with real-life scenarios and consequences. Students get experience reviewing their monthly fixed and variable expenses, their projected income, and set savings goals based on how much surplus or deficit they will have. Students are introduced to key concepts like comparison shopping, mortgages, writing checks, opportunity cost, and more while they play the game. Also, they have mini games within the game to make it even more fun to learn personal finance. Last, we wanted to look at all of our core subjects of Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calculus. And we searched a lot of different textbooks and came across CK12. It was actually recommended by our biology department. And after doing some research, I'll give you a little bit of information about CK12. It is committed to providing free access to open source content and technology tools that empower students as well as teachers to enhance and experiment with different learning styles, resources, levels of competence, and circumstances. First adopted by our biology department, like I said, a few years ago, the mathematics department decided to explore to see what they had to offer. And we actually found out that CK12 was originally developed for mathematics, and then they added other subject areas to it. And as we reviewed it, we found it as a rich resource for our core math courses of Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and Pre-Calc. Some of the components that CK12 offers is customizable digital textbooks with interactive content for students and teachers, adaptive practice, simulations, and something that they call PLIX lessons, which stands for Students Play, Learn, Interact, and Explore Math Concepts. So those were the 3 main resources that we found that we hope will improve and enhance our high school curriculum. Any questions?
Who would you be looking at to take the personal finance?
Who are we looking at?
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone.
Yeah.
Eventually, we want every student to be able to take the
No, I mean,
personal
I know it's
finance
high
course.
school, but I mean, I have a daughter who's an attorney who can't budget worth crap. I have a daughter who has a master's in education and she doesn't know how to write a check. So it's just, yeah, I think that, you know.
Every year that enrollment grows. And once again, we are hoping that at some point, every student will take personal finance.
It's open to juniors and seniors right now. Our goal with Dr. Benning's goal is to get every junior and senior by the time they graduate to take that class. Right now, it's about half of our graduates have had it. But like I said, we want to grow it so everybody can take it.
And it does grow because they're signing up.
Question for the online, the digital course. Is that a flat fee for the school district? Is that per student?
Is that the CK12 or is that illustrated?
Well, you got a couple in here. It's listed digital.
Yeah, CK12 is a free, that's completely free. Our biology department implemented that last year. That's all completely free. The textbook, that's a hard copy and digital, that's included. Personal finance is digital. And we can get you those prices if you need them. And
And with illustrative math, we're actually buying the printed material, and with the printed material comes the digital license. So it is per student.
So it is printed slash.
Correct.
Okay.
There are some schools that only use digital and they don't get any of the print. We believe it's best for our students to have both
Oh,
this
then
time.
it's printed on paper, so, yeah.
Any other questions? Okay. Just once again, thank you to our teachers for being here tonight and all the hard work that you're putting into research of different options for a math curriculum. Thank you, Mr. Shivitz, and all his teachers in junior high school as well. Okay. You guys don't have to stay. Yeah. You guys don't have to stay. Thank you.
Mrs. Mintz, before the board votes on 197 and 198, I would just say that Mr. Watson needs to turn his phone off. These items were presented to the curriculum committee last week. I know Ms. Manju had an opportunity to review them. Dr. Zorich isn't here tonight, but Dr. Zorich reviewed them as well and actually reached out to Mr. Maines and Mrs. Pellis this week. Dr. Zorich has the privilege of living with an elementary math teacher, and I don't want to paraphrase, but she loved the resources. So I just, before you vote, I did this.
Okay, I will move for adoption of resolution number 197 to approve the new courses for the 23-24 school year.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Move for adoption of resolution number 198 to approve the textbooks, digital and online curriculum approval.
Second.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Okay, the next resolutions we talked about last week, they're all involving agreements with different colleges and agencies, et cetera, So I'm just going to group them, and I will move for adoption of resolutions number 199 to, up to 208. So 199 to 208, I will move for adoption of all those resolutions.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Resolution number 209 is approval to post the special education plan, which is required.
Second.
Motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And lastly, I move for adoption of resolution number 210 to approve the tuition student for the 23-24 school year as listed.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Thank you, I'm finished. I want to say what a great job all the teachers and administrators did. That's a good job.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams.
Thank you.
Moving on to finance, I would like to bundle resolution number 211 and 212, payment of bills, and the treasurer's report. Motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Also move for adoption of resolution number 213 to approve tax bill settlements. Motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Also move for adoption of resolution number 214 to authorize municipal records retention and disposition.
Second.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? That motion passes. Next Finance Committee meeting will be May 9th at 5:30 PM at the Senior High School Library. Facilities Operation and Planning. I move for adoption of resolution number 215 to award fall sports equipment supplies bids for school year 2023 and 2024.
Second.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? And that motion passes. Our next Facilities Operation and Planning Committee meeting will be Thursday, May 4th at 3 PM in the admin building. Student Activities and Recreation, Mr. Music.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of resolution number 216, which is to approve the general examiner and exam costs for the year.
Second.
Motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? That motion passes.
Mr. Music, before you conclude your report, could I add something?
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir. Last week, the marching band went to Nashville. They competed in the, and I want to get this right, the Smoky Mountain Music Festival in Gatlinburg. It's a parade competition. They competed against bands in Mississippi, Ohio, Georgia, and Florida. And I'm proud to say that our marching band scored first place in its division, and the color guard was awarded the best auxiliary across all divisions. I know last week we recognized some of our student athletes, and I actually heard this. I was at Giant Eagle on Sunday, and I heard this at Giant Eagle on Sunday, and I wanted to make sure that I mentioned it to you as well. But congratulations to our marching band. I know that when Mr. Chekai looks at competitions and band trips to go on, and Mr. Maines, I think you were with me the day that he talked about it, he looks at a fun component, but he looks at a competition component, and he looks at a musical component as well. And when he selected this trip this year, he felt like it met all three criteria, and I'm glad to see that our kids did really well. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Community Relations, Mrs. Maines.
Thank you. The next regular Trevor Parks and Recreation Commission meeting will be held this coming Thursday, April 20th, at 4:30 PM in the Lakewood Municipal Building.
Thank you, Marcus.
I will move for adoption of resolution number 217 to approve the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit General Operating Budget.
Second.
Motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? Mrs. Brodsky, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Repko.
Yes.
Dr. Zorch is absent. Mrs. Kozer is absent. Dr. Laughlin.
Yes.
Mrs. Maines.
Yes.
Mr. McCommons.
Yes.
Mr. Merle D. Music.
Yes.
Mr. Merle L. Music.
Yes.
And Mr. Hausman.
Yes. Thank you.
And the next WIU committee meeting will be held Tuesday, April the 25th at 7 PM in the Fred Rogers room in the WIU building.
Thank you, Mrs. Maines. Transportation, Mr. Music.
No report this evening.
Thank you. EWCTC.
Okay, I'll take that tonight. And I move the adoption of resolution 218 to approve the Eastern Westmoreland Career Technology Center budget.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? Mrs. Brodsky, can you call the roll, please?
Dr. Laughlin. Yes. Mrs. Maines.
Yes.
Mr. McCommons.
Oh, wait a while. Okay.
Okay. Mr. Merle D. Music.
Yes.
Mr. Merle L. Music.
Yes.
Mr. Repko.
Yes.
Dr. Zorch is absent. Mrs. Kozer is absent. And Mr. Hausman.
Yes.
It passes 7-0.
Thank you, Mrs. Brodsky.
And our next committee meeting is Wednesday, April 26th at the WCTC. And that concludes that report and board policy.
Thank you. Technology, there's no report. Superintendent's recommendations, Mr. Franco.
I'd ask the board to move on resolution number 219, permission to realign staff. I'll just remind the Board of Education that this is a standard motion made each year. Anytime we have retirements, we look at transfers, and then we post the positions that are still open and we hire the best candidates possible. So again, I ask for your permission to realign staff. Resolution number 219.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
Before I move on to resolution number 220, resignations, I do want to note that included in that resolution are retirements from Joanne Oshnock, who is a reading specialist at Latrobe Elementary School, and Diana Lammert, who is also a librarian at Latrobe Elementary School. As I told the board before, we're talking about 427 total years of employment in the district, an average of 27 years. And you would think that after doing something for 40 years, which in one of these cases, that it would be a very easy decision to retire, right? To relax, to sleep in, to not have to lesson plan, to not have to frankly go to work anymore. But I will read to you that it is with immense sadness that I share my plans to retire at the end of the 22-23 school year, and this has been a hard decision. The students have touched my heart with their sincere love to learn and grow. My heart will always belong to our school district. I would like to thank Mrs. Holler and the administration for your support during my tenure. It has been a privilege to work in the Greater Latrobe School District. After my experience as a student teacher with cooperating teachers Linda Templeton and Tracy Shimko, I knew I wanted to work for GLSD. I want to thank Mrs. Holler and the GLSD administration for your support during my brief 24 years. I need to give a shout out to the special education department, who always answered my endless questions over the years. I must thank the LES custodial staff who put up with all of my messy library projects. And I must also thank GLSD for the supply of orange apparel that I have acquired over the years, since I'll be retiring to Clemson Tiger territory, and I will fit right in on game days. We are losing a lot of talent, we are losing a lot of experience, and I look at our assistant superintendents and I look at our building principals, and I charge you with the task to replace them with the best possible candidates. And with that said, I would ask the board to move on resolution number 220 to approve resignations as listed.
Second.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
I'll ask the board to move on resolution number 221 to approve support personnel, the personal care assistant Rebecca Rosposki as listed.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion?
Wait, I'm sorry. Before you vote, I apologize. Before you vote, I forgot that Melissa Rediger was added to this motion, and there is a mistake on her per hour rate. It is $30.50 per hour, not $35.50. My apologies. So I'm going to actually ask you to move on resolution number 221 one more time. Is that right, Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Rebecca Rosposki as a personal care assistant and Melissa Rediger as a summer psychologist at $30.50 an hour. I apologize.
Someone want to make a motion?
So moved. Second.
A motion on the floor and second with the adjustment in the pay rate. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And I would also ask the board to move on resolution number 222 to approve professional personnel substitute teachers. And I do just want to make one note. Alicia McCoy was not on the agenda last week. She was added this week. And I want to point out to the board again, ER certified means that you are emergency certified. In the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, if you have a degree from a college, even though you may not have been certified as a teacher, you could be certified as a substitute teacher. And we have numerous people who are ER certified working within our district. it's a tough time to find subs. We hear it all the time. We need more and more substitute teachers. So anytime we can find someone, even if they weren't classically trained in education, but they're interested in being a substitute teacher in our district, we do take them. So when you see ER certified, that's what that means. Again, I ask the board to move on resolution number 222.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
Before we move on to hearing of visitors part 2, I do just want to remind you of other business. Our next scheduled day off for students will be prom. That's Friday, May the 12th. EWCTC Senior Recognition Night is scheduled for May 23rd here in the high school auditorium. Our high school awards assembly is the 25th at 8:20, again in the high school auditorium. The 2023 school walk will occur on Friday the 26th. No school for all students and staff on May 29th. Baccalaureate is scheduled for the 31st in the senior high school auditorium. And graduation is scheduled for June 21st at Memorial Stadium, with our last day of instruction being, what did I say? What I said?
June 21st.
Or June 1st. Kira, did you figure it out there, Kira?
You're not giving me that long. That's my hollow case to this.
Michael, you could go on the first, but Kira is going on.
I'll be absent for 2 days.
That's all right. If you guys hadn't rebelled against me, I think there would have been 261 staff members at my door tomorrow. Last day of instruction is also the 1st. Our next committee meeting will be the 9th here in the CSC. And a reminder that the regular board meeting will not be on Tuesday, the 16th, rather on Wednesday, the 17th, again here in the CSC. Mr. President, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad.
Yes, sir.
At this time, I would like to open the floor up to hearing of visitors part 2. This is where anyone in the audience may step forward and state their name and address and speak to any concerns they have in the district. Your limit is 3 minutes. Seeing no one, prior to adjourning the meeting, I would like to make a statement about our sometimes under-noticed individuals who work in this district, that being our principals. And I experienced one situation where we had a situation not far from the school. Within 15 minutes, our principal and her staff kept located the kids who lived nearby and kept them back. I want to say how appreciative we are, how hard they work, and I want to say that job well done. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to move for adoption of resolution number 223 to adjourn. A motion on the floor, second. All in favor? That motion passes.